My name is Jamie Piles. I joined Samaritan in December of 1996. We were homeschooling our kids, and we were already thinking outside the world's box, if you will. And I saw a little tiny classified ad about this new kind of idea I'd never heard of before. My first reaction was, that's the kind of thing that we would do, isn't it? And so I finally called the number, talked to them, and the more I asked them questions, the more I liked their answers.
Hey y'all, welcome to Cross Politic on the Fight Laugh Feast
Hey, today's
Network.
your favorite subject.
Well,
You.
yeah, we get to talk about me.
That's right. Your favorite subject.
It was their idea to talk about me.
No,
it wasn't my idea?
Yeah.
It was my idea to talk about me?
everybody's talking about
Come
you
on
right
now. Hey
so-
guys, if you're in town for Grace Agenda, make sure you check out our live show this Thursday, 7 p.m. at the New Art with Nate Wilson and my brother Aaron.
Trying to get
so
people
excited
to
to get my brother Aaron on the show.
vomit up that black peel.
He's like Godfather in the background.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty excited to get him on the show and talk about, like, you know, when we were younger, the best way to illustrate this is my brother's older, 2 years older, and the older brother kind of paves the way. But also, it's like, you know, when penguins line up against the edge of the iceberg, they'll push each other off to test for sharks.
Do they do that really?
Yeah, they do. They do.
You pushed him off to test for sure?
There's a couple times I pushed him.
Did sharks get him?
I mean, he took some spankings from me. Let me just put it that way.
Yeah.
That's why he
Let me
don't
just
like
put it
you.
that
I
way.
always wondered what it was between the two of them. I get it.
And also, we're going to have an after party Friday night after Grace Agenda at my house. You got to email us at contact@fightlaughfeast.com for my address and kind of bring a drink, bring a snack, whatever. I don't know how many people are coming, so just kind of, you know, join in the fun basically at my house. That'll be right after Grace Agenda's last talk Friday, probably around like 9 o'clock my house. So bring a cigar, bring a pipe, whatever.
Okay. If you're a fan of Cross Politic or the Fight Laugh Feast Network, then surely you know we have a merch store, right? Rowdy Christian Merch is your one-stop shop for everything Cross Politic merchandise. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, hats, mugs, but we've also got specialty items like backpacks and coffee, which is what I'm drinking right now, by the way. Cross Politic. Even AirPod cases. Visit Rowdy Christian Merch at rowdychristian.com. Buy that next gift, a little something for yourself. Again, that's rowdychristian.com.
All right, I got no victory song or anything. So a couple
Play his Texas song.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, I'll find that.
You know,
I don't even use that anymore. Like, do we?
you know, he won. He won.
We won.
Deep in the heart of Texas.
So as people knew back in, we heard back in February, the judge awarded me, ordered the city to go into negotiations and to settlement with me.
They said there was like he was like kind of like upset about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, there's
He's
no
like,
reason why this needs to go to
we never should have been arrested.
yeah,
all that stuff.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. Their First Amendment rights were violated.
You actually had a law that said you couldn't do what you said you were.
Yeah.
So,
Thought you said
and
you
so
could do.
he ordered the negotiation settlement because he said there's no reason this should go to trial.
And so in July, a couple weeks ago, of course, you've probably already seen me. I've been on Fox and Friends. I've been all over the place. Actually, we won. We won the settlement, and in the settlement, we were awarded $300,000 for the settlement. That included Thomas More Society gets $150,000, and then me, Rachel and Sean were the married couple arrested along with me. We each get $50,000
How
each.
was that number come? How did it come to that number?
It's because
Because it doesn't seem high enough for me.
no, it's not. It's negotiations are. I mean, so we get into this. So we get into the settlement. I think it was June 2nd was the first conversation or first negotiation was early May. My dates are so off now. But the first settlement we get in, and the judge, who's the moderator, she's a former judge or a current judge. She's the moderator. She's from Boise, and she, you have both sides in the courtroom, actual courtroom.
Yeah.
And she's just giving instructions. This is how settlement's going to go. This is how the negotiation's going to go. I'm going to be one party's in this room, one party's in this room, and I'm going to be going back and forth.
Okay.
And then she says, I think the best kind of settlement is when both parties walk away a little frustrated.
That didn't sound like justice.
No. I was like,
sorry.
my jaw dropped. Both the lawyers in the room, my lawyer and the other lawyer, they're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's like unbelievable. There's no real desire for justice in the courtroom. In addition to that, I don't want to get into too much behind the scenes because some people are not here to defend themselves. But I asked to start the settlement at a certain number. And my lawyer was like, no, we aren't going to do that. And so basically we came to an agreement where a number that he could start in good conscience and defend me. So very different. But part of this, to his defense, since my lawyer's not here, it's a 1983 claim that we're going after. A 1983 claim, Section 1983, it kind of came out of the 1870s to be able to give blacks a way of suing cities for the city discriminating against them and violating their First Amendment, Second Amendment rights, whatever, back in the 1870s. Give them some sort of legal recourse.
1870s?
Yeah. 1860s, 1870s.
Yeah, because you got the right to vote then in the first Civil Rights Act. Okay, that makes sense.
So it gave them a legal way of suing the city if they violated their First Amendment rights, kind of thing,
right.
or constitutional rights. Period.
Boy, what a messed up world.
So that's what my lawsuit was based off of. Was that 1983 claim? Well, 1983 claims are all over the map on what you can get.
Okay.
$1, $10. The lawyer, remember the University of Idaho, the students who had their free speech rights violated 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, they got like $10,000 each.
Now, I'm not complaining. But it seems like free speech is awfully cheap.
Oh, it's a joke. And then even in the whole negotiation process, we were negotiating with the city's insurance agent.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were not even negotiating with the city. I told the judge, I said, man, if you guys had a recording of what happened in the negotiating rooms, I think it's drama. It was drama because I wasn't nice. And I told the judge, I said, get that insurance agent out of the room. I was like, we're not talking to him. Get him out. And so she eventually started just negotiating with the actual city attorney and started going through the lawyers on
Why
that.
didn't you want to with the insurance agent?
Because he has nothing to do with this.
Right.
He didn't violate my rights.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't mind them talking to the lawyer as the representative of the whole group.
They should go to their own insurance agent and come back to you. and say, here's what
exactly.
We
I
can
was like,
do.
get him out of the room. He's gonna be in here. So we kind of like it was pretty ridiculous. And then the first negotiation ended with the city violating court orders. The judge ordered the city to come into the negotiating room with all the authority present to be able to finalize the decision there.
Yeah.
They did not do that. So we were ordered into the second round negotiations because the city violated the judge's first court order.
Yeah.
And of course, they didn't get slapped on the hand. They're just like, oh, we'll just reschedule. Not a big deal. We'll reschedule.
Right.
And so there's some time I'm happy to talk about in privacy all the drama that happened. But we won. Grateful to God we won.
Yeah.
We got $300,000, which is pretty unheard of for 1983 claims.
Okay, so then
There's only
actually
one. There's
considered
only
pretty high.
It's still considered pretty high for 1983 claim. There's only one other 1983 claim that I could find that was that level. There might be a couple others that were higher than that, but this is pretty high considering the range of what really happens.
You know why I'm
1983
concerned
claims.
about the amount? Because it needs to hurt. The justice needs to be served, right? And so that's why I'm asking. Do you think that?
I'm just wondering though if it's finish your question.
This is
do you think
this is an important point.
Yeah. Do you think though that justice was served in such a way that they won't go back and do this again?
Yeah. So
because that's what I'm concerned.
They got slapped on the hand.
When you get hit with a high enough amount, it's like, well, let's not do that again. That hurts.
Well, but part of the challenge with, this is when you bring these kind of charges against a corporate entity, against representatives, what happens is, this is actually coming out of our tax dollars, right?
Well, it's coming out of our insurance. The insurance that the city works with, but our premiums are probably going to go up. So tax dollars are going to pay more.
The point is still valid, though. Yeah. So then the city should be like, y'all don't ever do this again. Right? Don't treat our citizens like this again.
Right.
Because it hurts us when you act foolish since you represent us.
That's right.
Right? And so I still want it to hurt because it needs to hurt all the way down. Right? It needs to hurt so that people are like,
so,
if there needs to be some sort of immune system or nervous system that says, don't put your hand in fire. It burns.
So this brings up a really important point for me in all this. I told my lawyers I wanted to go all the way to trial. So if you don't settle, you go to trial. That's what happens. I told my lawyers, I was like, I don't want to settle even at this amount.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go to trial. They're paying us $300,000 right now not to go to trial right now.
Yeah.
What's behind that door? There was a lot more behind that door. But because I didn't have the money, so Thomas More graciously, thankfully, Thomas More was paying my lawyers. I was hamstrung.
Yeah.
And so I ended up,
had to do what you could do.
I had to do what I could do. But I wanted to go all the way to trial because there's two things there. One is you set legal precedent.
Right.
So settlement doesn't really set legal precedent beyond that. It tells people that you could lose money doing this.
Right.
So it does hurt.
More reason to jack up that price.
It does hurt. It does cause consternation in the city or whoever's the problem in the case. But going all the way to trial would have helped establish more legal precedent in these situations.
Because you might say, hey, you know what? We might not like black people, but every time they sue us, we lose $100 million.
Secondly, to put our former
Leave them alone, let them vote.
That's right. To put our former lawyer, mayor, on the stand and just watch him talk through all the hypocrisy of him violating his own order would have been fantastic. Putting our current city attorney on the stand to talk about how she and her staff, particularly her staff, were using hate speech against me and my religious community would have been fantastic. There's all sorts of value in that. To get her also to talk about how she's going after Stickergate, further religious discrimination, the additional case on this. There was so much value in going to trial. To me, it was worth way more than $300,000. The other kind of goofy thing in all this is Thomas More got their money back. I'm so glad. Yeah, they took. They spent 3.5 years. They spent probably over $150,000. They got $150,000 back. Me, Rachel, and Sean split the other $150,000, so I ended up getting $50,000. And I found out as I'm getting that money, I'm talking to my tax attorney. Said, "Yeah, you're going to get taxed on that." So the government screws me, violates my First Amendment rights,
and then they're like, "And we need a tax."
They pay me damages, and then I turn around and got to pay them taxes back out of that money.
That's why they're like, "We can get it back."
Exactly,
we got it back.
Exactly.
I give us a little money.
But here's the thing: on this whole case, very grateful to God, I've actually gotten more publicity on the victory on this end of the whole saga than I did initially when President Trump retweeted it with my arrest and all that stuff. Right. Because I think. I mean, I got 2 shows I'm on this week, and they're decent sized shows. They aren't small pond.
You've been everywhere, man.
Yeah, I've been all over, and I'm grateful for it. But I think there's a couple of reasons. One is people are so hungry for COVID victories. They're few and far between. Yeah, I can think of me, John MacArthur. He had a victory. I can think of a couple people, but I can't think of tons of victories on this. So I think everyone's finally, we're starting to see some COVID victories, and they're few and far between. I think the other reason that's going on here is that you have a whole bunch of cities violating all their citizens' constitutional rights up and down all over the place. You have the Biden administration violating pro-lifers' constitutional rights, all this stuff. Yeah. There's all this illegal shenanigans that's been going on in pretty egregious ways these last years. People need to start learning how to fight back, and I think they're starting to get the itch, get the bug, and they see a victory like this and okay, I can do that too. Yeah. Right. So it's been a huge victory. Do we want to roll the clip and just kind of remind everybody what the arrest was like and all that stuff?
I can't watch it.
Just real quick, we're going to roll the clip of me getting arrested, and then we're going to turn it into Church of Central, John MacArthur, and other stuff that's going on.
Yea, when the wrath against us scarcely rose, then would the tide o'er us have spread its wave. The raging stream.
Watch the chief of police take my hymn book. Watch the chief of police take my hymn book.
The surging, flooding, proudly swelling roll, most surely would have overwhelmed us.
Look at us raising our hands. They can't raise their hands right here.
Yeah.
Man. I can't.
That was Psalm 20, but when Rachel and Sean were getting arrested, it's Amazing Grace.
Well,
and then into doxology.
It was Amazing Grace and then going into the doxology. Yeah.
I mean, the problem is here, you look back on this, let's say we were even in the wrong. The optics here of arresting churchgoers, raising their hands, you can't win this battle. This is how beautiful this First Amendment protest was. Right. But we were in the right here. And they arrest us. The chief of police takes away my hymn book. We missed the whole. We clipped it a little bit. He actually takes my hymn book away. Yeah. And what is going on in your mind? In your mind, as your oath of office, you swore to protect your citizens' First Amendment rights. Right.
Did any of the officers apologize to you, Gabe?
No. My arresting officer, when I met with him after, he said, "I'll do it all over again."
See, that's the thing that bothers me.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing that scares me.
But all the officers that were involved in the arrest have either retired or left the force, except for the chief of police. He's the only one still left.
So the guy who arrested you, he's not in.
No. He's a real estate agent in town.
Well, yeah. Well, praise God.
Tell everybody, watch out for your hymn books.
Hopefully he's better at that than being an officer. This is a turning point in America. for
That's
me.
right.
I've seen, but I mean, it's really interesting. I'm watching all the stuff happen in New York right now, where they had just over the weekend a streamer who had said he's doing a giveaway, and people just rushed down to New York City, I think it was downtown, and then just like a bunch of kids, and then just destroyed it. It just
cars and everything.
It went absolutely bonkers.
But Trump, who said peacefully, go protest.
Right,
he gets in trouble, and the streamer actually might legally get in trouble for this.
Yeah, they're probably going to get the streamer. Yeah. But what was amazing was that the way that they dealt, they're trying to manage it, and they couldn't manage it. And these kids, they just let them go. This is reminding me of the
cops
again.
just stood there and watched.
Eventually, just like, okay, as long as if we don't go after them, and it just tells you that the law is kind of backwards. We're singing psalms outside.
Yeah.
Not hurting anybody, literally.
Right.
Like all these people are making their own choices if they want to be there, and they say you can't do that.
No, we're responsible for the viral spread of COVID in Moscow. Yeah. I still get charged with that. After I won, you go on social media and like all these liberals in my town are like, take your money, get out of town. You don't love your neighbor. You're responsible for the viral spread in COVID in Moscow and all that stuff.
But the other people who got hit really hard with this too was John MacArthur out in California, right? And they were hit with the same thing. I remember all the things that were happening. They're spreading. People are dying. John MacArthur's on his deathbed because people are coming in there. There's just a petri dish of virus running around there. Everybody was afraid, and they wanted to shut him down. Yeah. I remember the battle that they were going through. And what's so great is to watch everybody. This is what we're talking about, right? They're making a film. They made a film, The Essential Church.
Okay.
You guys got to see this trailer.
Okay.
Is that Phil Johnson? Yeah, that's Phil.
Am I to forgive a Christian brother who offends me? Yeah. Now, I want to give a footnote that will help you, because there may be times when you will go to court. But the issue would be this, that wherever the Word of God or the work of God is at stake, I have the right to claim my legal privileges. If, for example, some ordinance came along and tried to close down Grace Community Church, would we say, oh, it's all right, we forgive you, we'll all go home and just forget the work of God? Not on your life. We'd be down there with every sort of legal thing you could imagine, trying to prove that we had the right to exist. It's a matter of protecting the privileges that God has given us for the proclamation of His Word.
When did you come to the decision that you were okay with suing the government?
How far back do you want to go?
So good. So good.
That's a bad man.
Yeah.
That's a bad man.
That's a bad man. Do we got Bad Man on here? That's Steve Dave's soundtrack, but that's a bad man.
How far back you want to go?
How about 1975?
How about...
Is that when that sermon was preached?
They showed it on the cassette tape.
That's when that sermon,
1975.
When he was saying that.
You want to talk about some faithfulness?
So good.
I mean, this was the teaser of the trailer. There's actually another trailer that's out. The film looks absolutely beautiful. Yeah. I can't wait to see it. But just hearing people talk about James Coates, Jay Bhattacharya's in it.
Tim Stevens.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's just one. Did they call
Doug
you?
Wilson? No, Doug Wilson wasn't in it. I wasn't in it.
They didn't call you about that? Okay.
But it's all good, though.
They know you, though, right?
It's Baptist.
They don't have to go to Canada to know the people in America.
Sometimes Baptists are the only ones who think they're doing something right.
Okay, well, anyway, they probably just forgot about it. They probably were so full. They just didn't need you. They got other people.
I love you, Phil. I'm going to text you, though, about this. All right.
What's been amazing about watching some of the clips, John MacArthur said that he wanted to make this film so that he can make the other pastors who close their church doors feel guilty for not standing up.
He said that?
He said that.
Heap them coals on.
And he said that he wanted to make sure that there was a narrative and a story that they told and no one else told.
Yeah.
That they wouldn't allow the history to tell their own. They wanted to tell their own story.
Right.
And as I was listening to him talk, because he went on, it was amazing. He went on Jason Whitlock's show. Mm-hmm. It was so good. I'm like my two worlds are colliding. Yeah. I'm like, yes. And it was wonderful seeing a faithful man of God stand strong. And the way he was talking about the Essential Church, I want to see it because I'm thinking this might be the most post-millennial Christian film ever made. I don't know of one that might even supersede it. I mean, you think about a church who has been faithful, a pastor who's been faithful over the years preaching the gospel, and in the middle of the fight, turn and say, we were thinking wrongly about this. We repent of it, and then
that's
make a huge
That's
stand.
one of the things that I've said it several times in the show, but I'll say it again. The thing that most striking to me, I mean, I love the fact that he's been teaching this since 1975.
1975.
I love his faithfulness to the Word of God in so many ways.
I wasn't even born yet.
But the thing,
That's right.
None of us
were.
Wow.
what, you know.
But I love the fact that he initially they closed down.
Yep.
And it's like a month in, 6 weeks in, something like that. All of a sudden they put a statement out and they said, we studied this some more, we looked at it some more, and we were wrong.
Yeah.
And that
takes courage.
is a man.
Yep. Yeah. That's right.
That's a man right there.
That's right.
Who's he's not getting blown around by every wind of doctrine. It has nothing to do with peer pressure. Has nothing to do with what the people think, but had everything to do with him going back and double checking the Word of God and the situation and saying, wait a second, we made a mistake.
Yeah,
we need to change this, and it cost him tons.
It did.
I mean, and talking about churches that didn't follow, I mean, there were a lot of churches that are in the sort of grace community orbit.
That's right.
And the Master's Seminary orbit who did not go along with it, who said, "Oh no, Pastor John's he missed the boat. He's wrong." And they weren't willing to stand with him.
Jonathan Lehman, we had him on the show because he came out with a letter to try and
Did he
curry
graduate
favor.
from Masters, Jonathan Lehman?
I don't know. But I know that
he was sort of like, you can do that if you want, but you sure don't have to.
His letter was clear. Don't follow John MacArthur.
Right.
It was.
I was reading
he just said it like, the other day I told the guy we had on the military guy for 19 years that you quit. You guys know he resigned, and I'm like, oh, that's right. I'm not speaking white people. My bad. You're right. He resigned. And that's what Jonathan Lehman did. He was like, well, he was speaking really, we don't need no, John MacArthur's, don't do that.
Yeah. Right.
And it was like, and it's
right before he went and marched with BLM.
And he's such a coward move. Right. So you didn't need to write the letter.
Right.
You really didn't. You pray, hey, we support John MacArthur. I hope that he breaks the dam and everybody can go back to church. Right. Why didn't you write that letter? Yeah. You didn't write it. Anyway, but so this is what's so crazy. So after watching that, then this next clip, it's kind of like it deflates my balloon a little bit.
We don't win down here. We lose. You ready for that?
No.
You were a post-millennialist. You thought we were just going to go waltzing into the kingdom as you took over the world. No. We lose here. Get it? They killed Jesus. They killed all the apostles. We're all going to be persecuted. If any man come after me, let him, deny himself. Garbage of prosperity gospel. No, we don't win down here. Are you ready for that? Just to clear the air, I love this clarity. We don't win. We lose on this battlefield, but we win on the big one, the eternal one.
Man, he when was this? Okay,
I don't care what y'all say. I don't care what y'all say. He don't believe this. I don't care what y'all say. He don't believe it. I don't care what you say.
We don't.
John MacArthur
we don't think you believe it, John.
No, I don't believe it.
Was this? This was when Trump and Hillary were running, was it?
This is right.
Like 2015 or something.
No.
Really?
This is more recent, like 2022 or something like that.
After COVID.
This because I think they won. They had won all their cases. We'll talk about that in a second.
Interesting.
But what was really great is
this is after they won. He still maintained. God
won.
delivered you,
Hold on.
and you maintain that
That's
position.
He don't believe that, Gabe. You stop it. He don't believe this.
Wow.
Just stop right there. I don't believe it. So then Nate Wilson actually responds to this. Stories are soul food. And I thought this was really great.
It's funny to me that MacArthur, of all people, would say this when he is one of the best post-millennial guys out there.
Preacher.
In terms of his orthopraxy. Yeah. Like what he's actually out there doing.
The preaching.
Is like, he's preaching the gospel.
The feeding of
he's fighting
souls.
Unbelieving tyrants.
Yeah.
He's like, He's established educational institutions to pass on knowledge to the next generation. You know what? Say whatever you need to say to keep battling like a post-mill guy.
If you are still kicking butt, you may say that we are super lame.
But honestly, give me 10,000 dispensationalists like him.
Right.
More than one academic post-mill guy who's not actually doing it.
He ain't wrong.
Give me somebody who's really in the trenches.
Yeah.
And I don't care what he thinks. Like, I really don't. I care what he does. He can say what he wants to say, but the way he has lived, the way he's functioned, the way he's fought, like, that is the real story of his life.
Right.
And that is a magnificent story.
Okay,
So good.
And here's why Nate's right about this.
Yeah.
Everybody, when this clip came out, everybody went after John MacArthur on our side and kind of like, okay, let me show you how we win down here. And look, just a couple things I want to point out. Jesus came, God put on human flesh, wrapped himself in human flesh, lived a holy life down here, right? One in the garden, one in the wilderness where Israel failed down here, was killed for being righteous and holy down here, to take the authority away from Satan down here, died down here, resurrected down here, and ascended with all authority in heaven and earth given to him, right? So we kind of already won. It's already over. So that's not. But Nate's right, because
we're just like in the Vietnam War where those skirmishes are still happening 35 years later.
Here's how I like to think about it.
You're finding troops up in the woods being like, oh, the battle's over?
That's exactly right. That's how I like to think about it. You know, if we went and took over the capital of...
We're still shooting at each other. Battle's over.
If we took over the capital of a place, there still needs to be people out in the edges that need to know that, hey, Christ is king. Bend the knee, right? Christ is king. Your king is no more. He doesn't exist. He has full authority. Christ has full authority. Bend the knee to him. And that's what we're doing. We're going to the highways and the hedges to compel him to come in, right? And so, but Nate is so right, because the beginning of the sermon where he says, we lose down here, he does not describe the world that he says when the sermon starts with the preface. He spent like 20 minutes talking about victory.
So this is the same sermon.
This is the same sermon. This is the beginning of that sermon.
Where he goes and talks about we lose. This is the
beginning of this. This is how the whole sermon started off.
Okay.
It's just amazing how the Lord has protected us, isn't it? Hey, we're here. I just wondered once in a while what Satan is saying. What has this MacArthur guy got? What I have is divine grace and protection, just what you have, right? 4 employees tested positive for COVID. They're here. Welcome. And the blessings have just continued in amazing ways. When I think about ministry, I have to say, I can't say that in my years here I've ever seen anything like the flourishing of the hand of God in ministry through all of this. Let me just run down some things, because I think it's important for us, isn't it, to remember what God has done. To raise an Ebenezer, right?
Like over
put
Victories?
Up a banner and say,
some winning?
The Lord has helped us.
We've won some things down here?
Early August, we got into the lawsuit. Since then, we've had inspectors religiously visit us 15 times.
That's good.
Supreme Court has issued 2 decisions favorable to churches. Los Angeles County was forced to change the guidelines to permit churches to meet. And by the way, there's a little caveat to that. We have 3,000 people going to show up here in a few weeks for Shepherd's Conference. We weren't sure about hotels because they're not able to be open unless it's essential. Thank you, Supreme Court. The Hotel Association says, hey, Supreme Court says you're essential. All those hotels are available. There's been an immense amount of legal work done by Jenna Ellis and 10 other attorneys. Total cost of that to the church?
Millions.
0.
Oh, okay.
And by the way, we haven't had an offering in 10 months. We haven't passed a plate in 10 months. And you have given more in the last 10 months than any 10-month period in the history of this church.
Wow.
It's just stunning. In the middle of the lawsuit, the Lord has grown our church. 1,000 new members.
Wow.
Baptisms. Did you hear the testimonies in baptisms Sunday nights?
If that's losing, let's have a lot more.
I'll lose all day with you, John MacArthur.
Do you want to go to war? Because we could go to war. I'm for real. I'm for real.
That's why I said he don't believe it. He don't believe it. God was so kind to them, and the victory. I mean, just 1,000 members in the baptisms alone is just such a blessing. And I think one of the things that we forget, he's right. Jesus was killed down here, but he was resurrected down here. Right. And so the whole world is a whole new place because of that reality. Right. And so now the church is just marching on, claiming victory after victory after victory, and it's not going to stop. Right. It's not going to stop.
Well, it's the thing is, I mean, it is death and resurrection. It's death and resurrection, and I think he has such great faith in resurrection.
Yes.
That I think he sees the ways that sometimes gets twisted. And so I think as a good general thinks the thing I need to emphasize is death.
Right.
We're going to die. And I think, yes, we are going to die.
Yep.
And we're going to be raised. We're going to lay it all down. We're going to give it all up. We're going to serve him faithfully, and he is going to bless it.
Yes.
And that's the thing where I just want to sort of tap him on the back and be like, yeah, but that's a bunch of resurrection right there, right? And again, I'm with Nate 110%. Yeah. Let's have 10,000 more of these generals.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who maybe say something a little bit half in a way that I might think, I don't know if that's quite right, but
practical post meal guys.
But hey, we need ministers with a kind of realistic backbone though, and aren't a bunch of pie in the sky, happy clappy, whatever. Your best life now. I'd rather have some of this, chewing on glass,
post mill,
whatever you want to call it. Yeah, glass chewing post mill.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just want to meet Dr. MacArthur before he passes, and I just want to say, man, you've done a lot of winning down here.
Yes, sir.
Do it.
If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids, and if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
I can't believe that was the same sermon.
Golly. 75% of people think real estate agents aren't very trustworthy. The only way to change that perception is to change the reality. If you're looking for a career where integrity matters and you can guide others through tough, high-stakes decisions, come join us at Story Real Estate and help drive that 75% down to zero. I'm Chris, the owner and founder. Let's see if we have a career you'll love.